Bitcoin doesn't care about Donald Trump. Bitcoin doesn't care about me. Bitcoin doesn't care about you. It's TikTok another block. Bitcoin is going to do what it's going to do with or despite one Donald J. Trump or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln. Bitcoin is going to do what Bitcoin is going to do. What's good, family? Welcome to episode 24 of Stack Sats or Die Trying. This is the Kobe Bean Bryant episode of Stack Sats or Die Trying. Rest in peace to the God. Man, another amazing week in the world in general, man. Every day's a good day that you wake up. You dig what I'm saying? So, man, always excited to talk Bitcoin. And for those who are tuning in for the first time, Stack Trying is the Bitcoin only show brought to you by the Hood. I'm your host. My name is Jimmy, as always. And let's get right into the discussion that I want to have on this episode 24. It's politics as usual. You know what I mean? I talked about episodes ago, but this one is interesting. As I'm recording this, Joe Biden just dropped out of the race, right? And you're like, what does this have to do with Bitcoin? You know, I got to pontificate, so let me get my pontification on. But to me, I'm looking at the nominees for the president of the United States. And the one thing I know that they both have in common, they have their differences. I don't get into these like political arguments, however you feel. We all are living off our own lived life experiences, and we feel about candidates based upon that. But the one thing I know they have in common is they both have ideas, goals, and agendas. And guess what they're going to need for goals and agendas? That is to make the money printer go. And when they print money, what'll then happen is assets will go up in value, right? The reason that real estate goes up in value isn't because all of a sudden I want to pay more for that house that you paid less for. No, it's because the dollar's worth less, the land's worth more, right? Bitcoin is digital real estate. Bitcoin is what is going to help us fight inflation and deal with these things. And inflation will happen regardless of his Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. But, I think at this point, the Dems is cooked. Like, put them in the air fryer. They done. It's going to take a miracle. But anyway, with all that being said, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other, right? Because what I'm going to focus on is stacking these assets and trying to understand and navigate within this space. So you won't get any political discourse from me, even if you try. So salute to you for those who do try online and get me into their conversations, right? Do I think politics matter? Yes, but I think politics matter more locally. I'm focused on local politics. I'm focused on community politics. I'm talking about all the way down to your actual neighborhood. Yesterday, I went to a meeting for my neighborhood association. I'm not even talking about Philadelphia. I'm talking about my neighborhood in Philadelphia, right? That's how grassroots I believe that politics matters. I want to know who's in charge of the school district, who's in charge of the things that actually matter in my life. Anyway, I digress. Back to the Bitcoin conversation. So what's interesting about this is the Bitcoin conference is coming. I won't be there live. I'll be watching it online. I got too much going on in the real estate game right now to make this trip because I actually do have another trip coming up next month. I'll be in Colorado. Shout out to everybody in Colorado that watches the show or listens. I'll be out there in the middle of August. I'm speaking at a conference in August in Colorado, so I'll be out there. But I won't make the Bitcoin conference. But I happen to notice that Donald J. Trump is going to be – matter of fact, let me share this article and read some of this article from CNBC because this was an interesting article, right, about DJT, right? And he's going to be at the actual Bitcoin conference. So this is the article from CNBC, and I will put the link to this in the show notes as well as the description. It says Trump Bitcoin conference fundraiser tickets top out at $844,600 for his Nashville soiree. So Donald Trump is hosting a campaign fundraiser in Nashville, Tennessee, where the conference is taking place. The top ticket is going for $844,600. Here's what I find even funny, right? So it says the Republican presidential nominees event is on the sidelines of Bitcoin 2024, an annual conference that is considered the country's biggest gathering of cryptocurrency fans. First off, CNBC, cut it out with the crypto. It's Bitcoin, not crypto. Cut it out. All right. It says Trump is a keynote speaker at Bitcoin 2024, where his appearance caps off a personal about face from crypto skeptic to crypto champion. He has done a complete 180. Now, some will say it's pandering. Some will say he's had all the, I get it. Trump has sycophants that it doesn't matter what he does or says, who just so it is what it is, man. I try to myself be an objective person. With that being said, more from the article. Former President Donald Trump, we already talked about that. $844,600 is part of his fundraiser. But the part that took me out is this. I'm gonna skip down a couple paragraphs. If you can't pay that ticket price, there's a next level down where you can get a photo with the president for $60,000, or just to make it fair, $100,000 if you're a couple. Give you a quick 20 band discount. So $60,000 per person for a photo, or $100,000 as a couple. Trump signed on the headline the Music City Center gathering shortly before he survived an attempted assassination, and a spokesperson for the Trump campaign did not respond to a request for comment on his Nashville appearance. Trump is running the bag up and using the Bitcoin community to do so, right? And I see a lot of Bitcoiners who are extremely excited about this. I see some who fall in the line of me who are objective and looking around like Bitcoin doesn't care about Donald Trump. Let me repeat that. Bitcoin doesn't care about Donald Trump. Bitcoin doesn't care about me. Bitcoin doesn't care about you. It's TikTok another block. Bitcoin is going to do what it's going to do with or despite one Donald J. Trump or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln. Bitcoin is going to do what Bitcoin is going to do. And once you understand that and get that mentality, these stories or headlines like that, you'll just laugh at them, right? Because it doesn't matter what Donald Trump thinks about Bitcoin, right? He can't stop Bitcoin. Some will say, well, his popularity or what have you can help, but Bitcoin's going to move regardless of his popularity or his lack of popularity. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I saw a lot of people get excited about this. I wanted to weigh on this and get you guys' opinion on it, but I also want to share some of the things that I found online that I find interesting as well, right? And this is a tweet from a gentleman known as Eric of Rivia. And let me read his tweet off to you. It says, "You're being used and pandered to, so you vote for a fiat politician. The fact that they're even pandering to Bitcoiners is a victory in itself. Doesn't mean we need to believe their bullshit and vote for them," right? So this is his opinion on what he's seeing in this space in terms of the politicians and, their feelings on Bitcoin, right? He called him a fiat politician, right? They're all fiat politicians, which is why my perspective is Trump, Biden, Kamala, whoever it may be, they're all going to have things they need to get done, and they're going to have to print some bread. They print bread. We want to be prepared. Again, we talk about stacking sats from the standpoint of being prepared to be able to handle things, to fight inflation, right? To protect your capital, to protect your purchasing power. Let me get off my soapbox for a second. Now, I'm gonna share a couple more things, or just some things I saw on the internets this past week in reference to Bitcoin, right? And this one is interesting too, right? This comes from a gentleman whose at name on Twitter is at BTC_4_freedom. Said Bitcoin does not have any cash flow. In the fiat world, we need assets with cash flow to not fail too far behind inflation. In the BTC world, we don't need it because everything becomes cheaper in BTC terms forever. I thought this was a good point, not just for this episode, but I could have put this tweet in any episode. That is one of the hardest things that it takes people to understand when they make this transition from a fiat world to thinking of everything in terms of sats. And the reason I know this is because this was the hardest thing for me to get over, right? I've often talked about my foray into the space and the idea of real estate and understanding is how it helped. The one hurdle that it took me a while to get, my brain was trained to look for cash flow as a real estate. So my training teaches me that you have to, look at your numbers. Yeah, look at objective numbers. Don't take your feelings out of it and look at numbers. Part of those numbers are the production of cash flow. So for my real estate folks who look at investments, and we use the income approach to valuing property, right? So back up a little bit. When you value property, and I'm talking about tangible, real property, There are three approaches to value. One is the sales comparison approach, which is where you compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So if I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, I want to compare it to a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, right? That's the sales comparison approach. The other will be the cost approach. How much does it cost to acquire the land, right? And then build whatever is there. Approach. What is the cost of building this property? The third is my favorite. I use majority of the time as an investor, which is the income. What cash flow does a property bring in, and how do I convert that into a value for said cash flow? What is the value of the cash flow? So those are the three approaches to value as it pertains to real estate. Trying to use that framework doesn't work for Bitcoin, right? So because Bitcoin has no cash flow, people try to create cash flow by doing the staking and all this other nonsense where they end up losing the most valuable asset to ever exist in human existence, right? Outside possibly water, oxygen, and things of that nature. So, but we try to use that framework and it doesn't work. But the idea of the systems that we have in place in this world means that everything becomes cheaper in BTC terms. So because of that, you need a new framework. We don't need right? You can have all the cash flow in the world, but if I'm appreciating inflation that I'm beating out your cash flow, have fun with your cash flow, right? It's the equivalent of buying Berkshire Hathaway stock versus buying Coca-Cola for dividends. Yes, you're going to have high dividends with a specific company, but will your overall return be higher? Where I'm going to at a certain level, I'm not going to have to pay taxes on said dividends. Add all the numbers together. What is your return? This is a conversation. This is a great tweet. I agree with it, but it's a conversation that goes beyond the realm of even Bitcoin. It's a conversation I tend to have with dividend investors that do everything in their power to find the highest dividend stocks in the world. And I'm saying you're losing money. You can go buy a growth ETF and you're going to beat your return of all those dividends you're sitting there chasing. You're chasing dividends of companies that are going down in value, but constantly kicking you out dividends. Shout out to AT&T. But but what I'm saying is we got to start looking at things from a lens. We got to start looking at things from a different lens. If we are prepare ourselves for, situations where we need capital, we want our capital to work as hard as possible. We don't just want to kick it out cash flow. In fact, I'd rather cash flow because I don't want to have to pay taxes on it. I want it to grow, and then possibly I'll borrow from it because I'm not going to sell it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to use the fruit from the tree, but I'm going to leave the tree right there doing what a tree does and growing. You did? So this is an amazing tweet. I can do a whole class just on this tweet. In fact, I might do that in the MDC. Just do a full class on this one tweet because it's so powerful, in my personal opinion. Now, one more thing I want to share before we get out of here. You know what I'm saying? This is StackSats. I always share with y'all some of the stuff that intrigues me in the Bitcoin space during the course of the week. Here is the last tweet, which, by the way, comes from the same gentleman. So make sure you go follow. He has a lot of great thoughts. I don't agree with everything, but, I don't have to. I don't agree with everything that anybody says. You know what I mean? But this is interesting, too. He says there are 63 million millionaires in the world. They own close to 50% of all the global wealth. There are 2.46 million Bitcoin on exchanges. That is 0.041 BTC per millionaire. Wow. Right? If you fully grasp the idea of Bitcoin, the concept of stacking sats, right, as opposed to looking at buying Bitcoin, put yourself in a position to really change the trajectory of your family's life. Now, anything I say here is not investment advice. It's for educational, informational purposes only. I'm only giving you my perspective on Bitcoin. But this tweet from BTC for Freedom, to me, is powerful because, we start looking at millionaires and billionaires and how much of the wealth they control in this world. I'm not here to argue about whether it's fair or unfair. Obviously, it's not fair. But, I mean, let me chill. Let me chill. I don't want, folks clapping at me about that. But the fact is, this is a race to get the most sats as possible. The more sats I believe you have, the more I believe you'll be able to take care of your family, man. The idea, man, get you a nice piece of land, get you a little bit of equity in the market, because that's going to do what it's going to do, and stack as many sats as humanly possible and enjoy life. You know what I mean? Um, Bitcoin is the most scarce asset we've ever seen. I think it's still early. Most people still have no idea about anything. Most people don't own the ETF. They don't own actual Bitcoin. They don't even have an account to buy Bitcoin. And this is a transfer of wealth. Now, do I think it's the be all end all? I am not one of these folks who thinks that Bitcoin will cure racism. It'll solve poverty. It'll help, feed the homeless, save the manatees. I don't think that Bitcoin is all those things, right? I do understand people's perspective when they say that if you change the money, it has an effect, right? Those things happen as a result of getting better money. I understand that perspective, but one of the things that I created this weekly podcast for, is to kind of like exchange knowledge, information, but also just in hopes that a couple people will watch it, you know what I mean, and possibly change their lives with this Bitcoin. The reason that I continue to do it is because I appreciate you guys. I love when you reach out and you give me your stories. I know that my mission technically is already accomplished. I have several people who hit me up. I get hit up on a weekly basis. Yo, I got the full card. I got folks that got the full card that have millions and millions of sats they stack just based on that. Link for the full card is in the description. Also, shot the full for the new outlet, the new app. It's kind of fire. Actually, maybe want to use Fold more. I have people who told me, listen, I got 6 figures in iBit based upon watching your stuff. Now, I know that it's not traditional Bitcoin, but it's an entryway. So I know that these 24 episodes, it may not even be that many views if you see the view, but you never know who's watching. And also, we get way more audio listens to everything we put out than we do on the video. And I've gotten the feedback to let me know that I've done good work here, right? Right? We service probably 30 to 50 kids every summer. 2,000 people to register, and then like 50 show up, and it's okay. It's okay. But I know that that's also changing lives, and regardless of how life plays out, I've had an impact, and that to me is why I continuously want to bring stories to you guys what's going on, because the impact is undeniable. I appreciate that feedback because that's why I continue to create. I don't make no money from YouTube or none of that. Any money YouTube on super chats or whatever we do our live, we give it all back. For those who don't know, Fridays we do a live show 7 p.m. Eastern, and we give away sats. We give away 40, 50,000 sats every Friday. So we just give away sats. We get money in and we give it out. Buy the Hood isn't meant to make profit. It's not a nonprofit organization. I make my money actually doing work, right? It is something that I picked up from Bitcoin. I'm not trying to be a rent seeker. Do I rent property? Yeah, but I look at my real estate a little bit different than others, right? My real estate is they're my mining. So instead of me investing in a mining, I invest into a property, kicks off cash, and buys me Bitcoin. Those are my mining rigs. Each is a mining rig. That's a whole paradigm shift too. Y'all ain't listening, right? I go out here be like, I want to get 1,000 doors so I can just live off tenants paying me rent. I want my tenants to buy my investment, my brain to make capital. I make my money in modeling. I'm a real estate data scientist, and I make my money using my brain to myself, to buy assets. Those assets then buy other assets. Rinse, repeat. That's my strategy, right? Maybe you got your own strategy. Stats are trying. I know I'll be on tangents about everything, but I think that the objective of this show is to let you know that Bitcoin doesn't care politics. Bitcoin's going to do what it wants to do. And the big thing is Bitcoin doesn't need cash flow. That is an amazing tweet. I wish sometimes it's a hard tweet. I wish I tweeted that. But that's one of those. That's one of those for me, because of the conversations I have, because of the understanding I have of real estate. He bodied that tweet. You know what I'm saying? I gotta find a way to remix it. But maybe I'll quote tweeted, add a couple bars to it. With that being said, though, man, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Please stay safe. For those that have kids in our camp, appreciate you. Week 4 is next week. We're going to actually talk about Bitcoin next week. Next week's camp, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and real estate, the two loves of my life. We put them all in one class. It's called Digital and Physical Real Estate. That's next Saturday, 9 a.m. sharp. So for those that have kids, we'll see you there. Leave me some feedback. Hit the comments up. Say whatever you want to. Just talk my comment section look good. You know what I'm saying? Because the spam bots be down there trying to get people to scam. I will never ask you for anything. If I do, I'm gonna text you. But that be yo, a lot of the scammers be out there now. Y'all be going far. First, they went just trying to get money out of folks. Now, people sending me people that cloning my account. They trying to get yams out here. So y'all gotta be careful, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they be using my picture and all that, and then chicks John talking about, you know, they trying to get with them, like, you know, craziness, man. I'm not box either. I'll text you. I'm joking. I'm joking. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Remember, as always, stack stats or die trying. Peace.